Good morning, evening, afternoon. I'm Tatocat. Welcome to my channel. And today we're playing Echoes, the Lucid9 Fangame. Previously, we learned that because we burned our bridges with the meritocracy, we now can work with the ILF because they're like, well, I don't really like you, but viruses don't choose sides, and we gotta figure this out, and we can help you if you help us, sort of thing. And he sounds like, yo, what you did was right. I believed in you. And I'm like, okay, it was worth it working with our enemies, sort of thing. They still seem better than DCIS. And now we are back in the forest of creepiness. The forest. And that's where we left off. Let's continue. We're meeting with ILF, in case I didn't say that. And why does it feel like I've been here before? Because you have. Deployment successful. Minimizing power consumption. Gotta stop the power from generating. I have I have instanced myself into your vessel. Computer, let's just reread that one. Let's try that again. Yeah. I have instanced myself into your vessel's computer systems, operatives. Barring the current level of direct and indirect EM interference, I will keep the ODG and SDG running until you return. What do you mean by indirect, Eris? I am unsure, Commander. The bedrock the bedrock layer below us appears to demonstrate a capacity for extreme angle reflection, and destructive interference on all sonic and electromagnetic wavelengths. In addition to this, local contact points on your armor indicate a rapid EM resistance. Fluctuations in both the atmosphere and topsoil. Could the ILF have jammers placed down here? It's certainly possible, operative. Agreed. Well, it is difficult for light of any frequency to pass through the bedrock without being altered. Evidence of alteration to the light from within it is observable from its trajectory. In addition to that light's reflection, it is possible that it may be permeable to the effects of the resistance manipulators previously deployed by the ILF. Due to this and other environmental factors, visibility of the surrounding terrain is currently below 20 meters on all frequencies. As such, I will be using the accelerometers and proprioceptive sensors in your armor to lock your position and chart a viable course. I recommend staying within 10 meters of each other to minimize the risk of disorientation. Understood, Eris. Let's go, 9. Every time she calls me that, I just hear, no! I nod to the commander before following her deeper into the forest. Amplified by the deep vision algorithms of my iris vision. Eris and Iris are too similar of names. Iris visor. She searched the searchlight on the side of my helmet reaches into the mist hanging in the night air, illuminating the tall trees and fanged understory as I pass through. As fangs, the grove of monolithic, seemingly endless trunks seems to iridesce darkly in shades of green, blue, and purple as I pass through, reaching into and surrounded by complete darkness that not even my transgenic eyes can make sense of. It's not simple darkness like a cloudy night under a new moon either. It's almost otherworldly. The jet black half globe of darkness hovering over me is like a boundary between this world and the next, woven from a true vacuum that nothing can penetrate, not even the beam of my floodlight. As I move through it, it's as though the very universe is materializing into existence around me, reaching through the impermeable veil to exist until the distance I travel cuts it off all at once. I have no idea how the ILF managed to set up shop here, but if they found a way to do it safely, I can see why they picked this place. Let's just hope that they have more of these arboreal depths mapped than we do. No, what, I wasn't expecting that noise. 10 meters ahead to your destination, operatives. You may wish to evaluate the terrain before proceeding further. Following Eris' advice, I looked down the ground in front of me, between the trunks of two massive trees. An oval-shaped cave shaft is filled in by the thick mat of black thorns and stinging nettles. Is it nettles? It's nettles, right? Yeah, nettles. Barely thin enough to see through. And with glistening with hard sharpness of graphene-tipped scalpel. The longer I stare at them, the more I'm convinced that they're growing fast enough for me to see. Do we have any cartographic data in this area? Negative, Commander. Due to adverse atmospheric conditions, only the outer 15% of the Isamu forest has been authorized for access by corporate survey teams and harvesting expeditions. Our current location lies beyond that. What about Rika Nikajawa's expeditions? I doubt anyone with her authority would have needed authorization to map this place. The latest geographical records of the Nikajawa expeditions date back to over a century, operative. They may no longer be reliable. During the 18 years that the founder actively explored the Isamu forest, no subterranean formations like the one in front of you were ever recorded. Do you think they weren't detected? Perhaps, It is also possible that for safety reasons, their locations were voluntarily omitted. That actually makes a lot of sense. Under normal circumstances, the biggest danger this place would pose from having its location recorded would be cavers at risk of suffering a typical underground mishap. But if it's in this forest, I highly doubt it leads to anything typical. Those thorns show evidence of extensive genetic modifications, operatives. Unless you hack your way through the cave entrance, following Spear's route may result in damage to your armor. How do we hack what, we don't have knives? Oh. The commander draws her machete. Did she just forget that she had that on her? You mean the other kind of hacking? Wow, yes. So you thought Eris was saying you need to crack the programming of the thorns to get in? Is that what you thought she was saying at first? That's not a thing for plants. I clicked too much. It popped up all on its own, it looked like. With several wide arcing cuts, the commander tears into the thorns, blocking the entrance. Insisting hissing fault lines into the plant material that widen and deepen as the molecular solvent transforms them into a dripping, viscous suspension intent on breaking down everything it touches. The process is surprisingly efficient. No meaningful heat appears to be generated aside from the torrent of sparks that fly from her blade, but a downward inflow of air seems to catch them, putting them out as they fall into the cave and leave nothing behind but smoke. Several chunks of thorns are unable to maintain a cohesion and fall off the main mass, some plummet and others dangling on a thread, but nonetheless clearing the way for us to descend. The main shaft descends for around 8 meters, but fortunately, a slight incline and a series of ring terraces carved into the rock face allow us to descend without having to deploy our zip launchers. I doubt even Eris could find this passage if she didn't know it was here. It's more than just well hidden. It takes advantage of the environment to blend in effortlessly. The thorns, however, are still a bit of a mystery. If they're genetically modified, who or what made them grow here? And how? Science is how. Yep, we are in the cave. This spot is interesting though. Don't need to do that. Alert! Environmental analysis shows I'm using alert. Environmental analysis shows a drastic change in atmospheric composition. In addition to harboring a composition of less than 0.5% oxygen, the gaseous volume of this passage is occupied by 4.5% carbon monoxide, 20% carbon dioxide, and 75% nitrogen, and other trace elements. Can you identify the root cause? Negative, operative. The oxidized carbon vapor appears to be diffusing from the elevator shaft in front of you. There's an elevator shaft in front of us? Okay. Descending will move you closer to the coordinates provided by Spear and may offer further information. A waypoint appears on my visor. I turn towards it and find a finely cut shaft reinforced with metal scaffolding. As its center sits dulled steel a dulled steel elevator box beneath a pair of dusty wheels, the latter of which feed two forked cables past the visible portion of the structure and into the abyss. To move the cables, there is a hand crank on each side of the floor, bound to them through an elaborate series of pulleys and cogs. It looks old and well used, but at the very least, its appearance and weight capacity doesn't seem questionable. As I approach for a closer look, the glint of an inscription catches my eye. Murakami Heavy Industrial HMFE M 2103. Manufactured Keichitsu 18th. What's Keichitsu? Keichitsu. Not ch, it's chi. 18th, 2573. Shipped Shunbun 2nd, 2573. I'm deciphering the kanji correctly. Those dates appear to be written in a variant of the imperial calendar. In addition to that, there's something below it. A seal made up of sakura blossom and a river running through it. Despite its noble house being long gone, it's still one of the most recognizable symbols in the Nikijawa prefecture. In addition, it dates back to a time when the city of Isamu had yet to swallow most of its whole. A very, very old time. Eris, what's the current imperial date? It is currently the 9th of Koku 2701, operative. Great. Not even out of the murder forest yet, and the first thing they want us to do is board an 130-year-old crane lift at the bottom of a cave. You sure this is the best we can do, ma'am? The murder forest! We're like in the deepest part of the murder forest. It's the best name for it. I know it's the Forest of Isamu or whatever, but its real name is the Murder Forest. I'm afraid so, Nine. Unless you want to start digging, this is our only way down. I chuckle. I dig it. No. Glad you told me to bring my parajets. Where to next, ma'am? Ma'am? Now surrounded by complete darkness, I turn my headlamp to its maximum output, scanning the area for the commander. There's no sight of her anywhere, nor any sign of light from my headlamp. There's no... I expected to at least see the beam, but even that's too much to ask. Whatever was swallowing the light on the surface seems to be active here as well. Only at this depth, it's orders of magnitude stronger. I haven't even stepped off the elevator yet. Oh? Exclamation mark. A dull pain bears down on my skull, making it virtually impossible to think. Unlike the other headaches I've had, this one almost seems to pound with some semblance of structure and rhythm. Almost like someone is beating a drum. Maybe they are. Maybe they're sending Morse code to my brain. An indecipherable vortex of harsh, twisting color emerges into my field of vision. Black mist accretes and congeals onto the cave floor in front of me, and I leap backwards in surprise, drawing my rifle and aiming at it. A pile of stones? I approach the structure for a closer look, only to find the distance unchanged by my forward motion. The haptics in my left gauntlet, however, engage, and I feel the sensation of something waxy and angular, about an inch thick. I look down to see a small, thick notebook in the palm of my hand, bound in a jacket of waterproof leather and secured by a system of 2 magnetic flaps that span the front of the cover. As soon as they're undone, I take a look at the first page. Expedition Log, Shinbun 5th, 2573. Speaking with the founder has confirmed what I have already suspected, that we have set out on this expedition without notifying the board. I'm confident that the work she seeks to do here is too important to risk bringing to Tanaka's attention, but I do not think we can keep a secret from him for much longer. Rika Nishikawa is a woman of vision, principle, and will. Many people follow her, but many more would seek to destroy what she has built. It is why she called upon us, the faithful, to serve the way forward once again. And by serving the way forward, we serve all mankind. During the first archaeological dig, I served as a member of her personal guard, tasked with protecting her as she was called to this dubious place. When the medicine staff was unearthed, the medicine staff? Oh, I was skeptical at first. So were the majority of the few people who knew of its existence. Truth be told, I thought little of it. To me, it was nothing more than a cold, dead piece of metal, a relic from a bygone era. But that was before I picked it up, and I transformed into Sailor Moon. No, I felt some form of energy from inside it. When I did, I understood immediately how it could have a call to her from so far away. How taking it into her care transformed her from an expert in her field to a true polymath, a visionary without peer. I also understand how it could be used for evil, to undermine everything it has enabled the founder to build. Tanaka lacks vision. He is a non-believer, but not impractical. Even he is beginning to see merit in using the staff to serve his own goals. Should he discover a way to do so, to complicate matters, the forest has grown unstable since the staff was removed from it. Oh no. History. Tanaka lasted since the staff was removed from. It is difficult to quantify, but the ecosystem here has grown unstable, and there's something rumbling under our feet. Its movement pattern doesn't match any known form of sentient, systematic activity, and atmospheric oxygen has waned drastically. If we can manage to fire up the drill engines, it won't be for long. Expedition Log, Shunbun, 7th, 2573. We've been in the Isamu forest, the murder forest, for the past 60 hours. Like myself, some other members of the expedition team are reporting slight agitation and minor hallucinations from exposure to the local flora. But if nothing goes wrong, our antidote supply should last us at least a few more weeks, says famous final last words. The drilling apparatus and elevator have both been assembled and installed in an appropriate cave system, and using one of the founder's redox inverters, we were able to supply enough oxygen to the drill to begin our descent. She received a vision of a powerful place beneath our feet, a place where the medicine staff could be interred far from the hands of any wrongdoers. I hope we can reach it quickly. This business of seeing and hearing things that don't exist is becoming quite tiresome. Expedition Log, Shunbun, 8th, 2573. The drilling crew found something. They didn't say what it was, but a depth of around 125 meters. They entered a tunnel system that was so dark that their lanterns didn't do a thing against it. According to them, the heat of the flame could be felt, but any light it would have produced was invisible to them, and unnaturally so. I've known these men for years. All of them are seasoned excavators, not afraid of the dark nor what lies in it. But this darkness was enough for them to start screaming and dash back to the elevator. When they explained this to the founder, they were so terrified that they spoke in short sentences that barely even made sense. She, on the other hand, was smiling the whole time. When I asked her why, she told me they had found what we had been looking for. Matsuda and I will accompany her as she makes her descent tomorrow. The rest, including the drilling crew, are under order to take the provisions they need and return to District 2. The founder is confident that they will be dismissed as mad superstitious. I wish I could be the same. I am certain that they'll reveal something upon their return. And when the board learns about this expedition, I'm equally certain that they'll want to be involved. That Tanaka will want to be involved. And anything that man does seldom goes well for anyone else. Well, we will continue reading this in the next episode. Things are getting spooky, it seems like.